Hello and welcome back to another World of Warcraft lore video. This time we're going to be covering the history of Darkshore. Darkshore is definitely a cool zone. It was the first that many people saw outside of their starting zones, and it's actually got an interesting enough history that goes right back to the time before the Sundering. So Darkshore was once a highly important seat of Night Elf power. However, recent events have torn the place up and just left it vulnerable to numerous threats. But first, let's go way back in time. In the pre-Sundering times, the Night Elves had two massive cities there, or at least large cities. They were called Ametharan and Bashalaran. Both of them were on the shores of the Well of Eternity, and they were home to many of the Highborn. And because, of all this stuff, the Highborn were able to freely practice their magic there. Which was fine, but that magic would eventually attract the demons of the Burning Legion, which led, of course, to the War of the Ancients, and both of these cities fell at some point during the War of the Ancients prior to the actual Sundering. According to a tablet that can be found in an old quest, both settlements were destroyed before the Sundering, and I'll just read out that tablet. The earth trembled as ancient trees in the enchanted forest were uprooted and toppled. The groves and glades tended by the sons and daughters of Cenarius, and the stone towers of the Children of the Stars were brought to the rolling ground. There was our queen, radiant even in the desperation, in the chaos that was the battle. The enchanted changed colours with the discharge of magic, with the explosions that threatened to tear the world asunder. Brother fought brother, chosen fought blessed. It was not all the Highborns that fought. Some stood transfixed as the madness took them. Mighty cities and humble towns alike were felled around them. In Ametharan, all was ruins, its people clinging to the grounds as though that might spare them from the destruction. It was then that Athricus Narcine, favoured of Ashara, appeared to guide them to safety. With a spell, he could protect them, he would say. While around them brother and sister, father and mother perished, they would have life eternal and not to fear from the sundering that was to come. Alright, so that's basically what happened. Essentially, the War of the Ancients tore the place to shreds, with all the various things that happened. Not 100% convinced by some of the English in that tablet, but I guess that's the closest translation we can get. Anyway, so let's talk about the post-Sundering history of the zone. Well, after the Sundering, things began to settle down a little bit, and a lot of the Night Elves basically moved into Hyjal and Moonglade because they were deemed to be safer places. However, a few did stick it out in the ruined coastline of Darkshore. They founded Oberdine and they used it as a ferry outpost, though bear in mind that at the time Teldrassil didn't exist, so the area was really of less importance to the Night Elves. It was just sort of stuck up to the north, with not a whole lot going on. Anyway, so Oberdine was founded and the rest of the area was just left in ruins. Before the Cataclysm, the story of this zone mainly just involved solving its latent problems, clearing out the satyrs, cleansing the local wildlife of corruption, and then securing the safety of Oberdine. It would stand to reason that with the founding of Darnassus, Oberdine would become a vital link in the Night Elf civilization, and therefore in the vanilla game, it was very important that the area was secured and really built up into I suppose a useful trade hub. It also, of course, linked into Ashenvale, which was, again, very important. Things were really, for the most part, going quite well until Deathwing broke out of the Maelstrom and flew over Darkshore, raining fire in the zone and causing widespread damage, including the complete destruction of Oberdine. The survivors fled north, and then with the help of some Worgen refugees who had freshly arrived in off the boats from Gilneas, they founded a new town called Lordanel. The chaos that followed the Cataclysm provided basically just a perfect opportunity for a few different hostile factions to make their move. The Twilight's Hammer cult started excavating the corpse of old god Servant in a bid to, I suppose, resurrect it and then use it to kill a lot of friendly people. Then the ancient Highborn ghosts were once again stirred. The local satyrs and grelves took up shop inside the various cave networks to the south of the zone. And then finally Garrosh's renewed offensive against the Night Elves threatened to overrun the remaining survivors. A lot of bad things happened, but luckily enough Malfurion returned from his sleep. He came to the zone and with the help of the players he fought off the Twilight's Hammer clan, basically just putting an end to their plans to resurrect whatever that creature was at the Master's Glaive. Then the satyrs and Grell were eventually cleared out of the various cave systems in the zone, the Highborn spirits were once again put to rest, and then the Horde Offensive, which was led by the rather weak and previously rather passive Shatterspear trolls, was actually just destroyed by the defenders at Lord Danell. Darkshore is now then mostly free from danger, so we can assume that the Night Elves are going to rebuild the place and sort of get it set up again as a major trade hub, but of course we probably will never see this happen. You know, it really is funny how a lot of the world was just sort of left in suspension at this like post-Cataclysm time. We never really will get to see the sort of resolution of some of these plot lines, which really is a little bit sad. But anyway, that's the quick lore of Darkshore. Pretty much covers all the important stuff that's happened to the place. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, those like and favourite buttons are very helpful. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.